You're hearing The Paul W. Smith Show. News Talk 760, WJR.
I don't have to tell you because you're very bright. You're listening to WJR Radio as we endeavor to continue to help you be the best informed audience in all of radio across the board, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You already know we're living in a toxic culture, a toxic environment. Somebody's trying to do something about that. Well, a number of people are, but here's one very good story that comes to us from Professor David Dulio, Oakland University professor of political science, director of the Center for Political Engagement. And Oakland University's Center for Civic Engagement has an event coming up April 6th called Defy the Divide, a Path to Civility. I will tell you, Professor Dulio, music to my ears. God bless you and welcome to the Paul W. Smith Show.
Thanks, Paul W. I appreciate you having me on.
How did this come about?
Well, you nailed it in your intro there. We are in a toxic political environment, and any even casual observer of politics, the news, what have you, can see that. And it's been pretty bad for a while, but it seems that it just keeps getting worse. And there's a big chunk of the public out there, sizable majority, who say they want our representatives, our leaders, to work together. They want them to cooperate and not be dug in their partisan corner. So what we want to do is promote and demonstrate that there are people out there, that there is a path forward for those who are interested in finding common ground, working in a bipartisan manner.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you can really hit on all the real issues, if people can be very honest, it's going to be painful, it will be controversial, but it will be the right medicine, just what the doctor ordered to get us back to civility, which is, we're far from that. Although the virtual panel discussion that you have, featuring United States Representatives Alyssa Slotkin, Debbie Dingell, and Fred Upton, is a very nice beginning because we've seen them reach across the aisle and work together, which is, agree or disagree with whatever it is they're talking about, we do want them to be talking with each other and working together as their constituents, as their employer. We're their employer. And in Washington and in Lansing often, these people are working at fighting each other and not working at doing things better for us.
Well, you're 100% right. There's no better advertisement for this session that's coming up next week than what you just said. These folks are working for the people. They're working for their constituents. And there are, in all of those districts, and I should say, too, that all three of those members of the House are also members of something called the Problem Solvers Caucus, which is a group of bipartisan members. You can only gain membership in that caucus if you bring somebody from the other side of the aisle with you. Michigan is fortunate to have 5 members of the Problem Solvers Caucus, the biggest delegation of any state in the country. There are only 56 members. Michigan has 5 of them. Peter Meyer and Haley Stevens are the other 2. We couldn't get this event to work out with their schedules, or they would be with us for this conversation. And there are members of both parties in all of those districts. So Alyssa Slotkin has constituents who are Democrats and Republicans. She has to work for everybody. So does Debbie Dingell. So does Fred Upton. And you're right. They have shown a willingness to reach across the aisle and do work in a bipartisan manner. And we want to show that that is possible, even in a time of incredible political rancor and vitriol.
Well, if focusing on how to find common ground in a time of highly charged partisan politics is a rather incredible and important journey, and you're bringing along journalist Stephen Henderson and Nolan Finley to moderate a panel which will be held from 10:30 to 11:30 in the morning, Tuesday, April 6th. How do people jump on board and be a part of that?
Thanks again, Paul W. Folks can get all the information they need right at oakland.edu.
All right, oakland.edu. And I strongly suggest as many of us can climb on board with that. And then Professor Dulio, talk to Ann Thomas, our producer, and let's, following this, let's get you back on to get a report on how it went. I pray this is a first step in the right direction, defying the divide and finding and following a path to civility. We need it tremendously. I appreciate you tackling this. Good for you.
Thanks again, Paul W. Appreciate your support.
Professor David Dulio, Oakland University Professor of Political Science and Director of the Center for Political Engagement. Will they be honest? Will they be up forward with everything to make things really work? Will they have the guts to stand up and say, we've been thinking about what's been going on, and honestly, you didn't choose to be white or black, and we can't say that just because you're black or just because you're white, you're a problem. That's kind of ridiculous, and yet somehow we've kind of accepted that now lately with the pendulum swinging the other way. It's if you're white, you're bad. That's not true. Just like it was never true that if you're black, you're bad. I don't quite understand why something that simple is not embraced and understood. I really don't. Call me naive. You will, among other things. 801 at WJR.